Welcome to this short video on what's new in iConstruct 2021.1. So I have two features I really want to point out here today. It's called Append Data and Reconstruct, which they're not new features, but we've made some enhancements to these. So to get started, we're going to come over here to Standard Tools. We're going to go to Append Data. The Append Data dialog box comes up. As you can see, this dialog box looks completely different than the way it used to. For one thing is you'll notice new icons and a new layout. We're trying to make all of our dialog boxes look this way. So to get started here, we're going to click on the green icon here to create a new, and I'm going to call this one Append Test. I'm going to go OK. Once I've done that, you'll now see under Standard, this really looks different, and I have a tab name, a property name, and a property value. So what we can do now is we can add multiple properties at one time. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a new tab called iConstruct. The property name here is just going to be dis for discipline, and the property is going to be piping. Then I'm going to add another one, so same exact tab, iConstruct. I'm going to put in status here, and this status I'm going to say is installed. Another thing that we're adding to all these dialog boxes is giving you the ability to either pin it on top or not. So now if I move this dialog box, I can click on the screen. If I unpin it, if I click on the screen, the dialog box will go away and I'll have to pick it up through the task menu down here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Advanced tab. Really none of this stuff has actually changed. I'm going to say let's apply it to the groups and items. I'm going to say create this new tab if it doesn't exist, so that iConstruct tab. Everything else is okay. And I'm going to go ahead and run this from in here, but first I'm going to save it. Then I'm going to come into the model here and I'm going to grab everything. Let's grab it, and I'm going to go run. It says 260 objects has been applied, so let's go ahead and select on one of them. And there you can now see it says iConstruct, and it's got discipline and status in here. Okay, so that's great. Let's go ahead and close out of that. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at the Reconstruct tool. So let's bring up the Reconstruct. So we're coming down here to General Configuration. We're going to go down to Reconstruct Configuration. And same dialog box, the same new look here. So we're going to click on the plus sign here. We're going to go Reconstruct Test. And go OK. So the main difference here from what we had previously is we could only do 3 levels. We could do a layer, a group, and an item, but we had a lot of customers wanting to create more than those 3 levels here. So that's really what we've done here, is given you the ability to add more than one. So output file name, I'm just going to go ahead and delete that there. I'm going to export everything that is shown on screen, and I'm going to come down here to show advanced options. And so to get started here, I've got to have something selected. I'm going to go this pipe here. Let's go back in here. I'm going to pin this so it stays on top. And I'm going to hit the refresh. So this is the get NW props. All right, so the first thing I want to do is I want to break this up first by the discipline. So we're going to go in here for the tab we're going to select is our iConstruct tab. The property we're going to use is dis. And then the name is going to be the exact same thing. I'm going to include the properties, and it's going to be the type is a layer. And you have the ability of how you're going to look for this data, either top down, bottom up, or at a certain level. I'm going to say from bottom up. So go at the geometry level and work its way up. Then I have the ability to merge contents, or I can also export out an NWD of every one of these disciplines if I wanted to, which I don't. So now I'm going to go down to the next level. I'm going to select a completely different tab. So previously you could only select one tab to pull data from. So this time I'm going to go, let's go to the Smart Plant tab. I'm going to use what property I want to use here is I'm going to use the line number. And we'll come down in here and find the line number is the name too. I'm going to include the properties, and it is going to be a group, and I'm also going to go from the bottom up. Look for that property from the bottom, work your way up. All right, let's do a couple more in here. So let's go Smart Plant once again. This time I'm going to take a different property. I'm going to go, let's go an ISO line ID. Let's go ISO line ID. Include the properties, and this will also be a group. And we'll go from the bottom up. And then I'll do one more here, but I could keep going. There's no limit here. I'm going to come in and I'll say I want the description, include the properties, and this time it's not a group, it's actual item. Okay, and we will go from the bottom up. Let's quickly go over here to the Advanced tab. Mainly you still have the same things here. I'm not going to add a prefix to the front of my user data. But if I look here down at the bottom, you've got this now. It's called Turbo Mode. I'm going to select on it, and it's telling you to see the tooltip. Basically what this is, it's going to go a lot faster, but the downside of this is it will close out this model when it's done. Okay? So you just need to make sure you have saved your model before you do that. I'm not going to do anything else here. I am going to go ahead and save this. Now, the next thing that we can do here is we can run it right from this configuration. We don't have to wait and then go and run it later on. We can run it right now after I've done this. So before I do this, I just want you to look at this tree view. So right now I've got this industrial piping, all piping, then I got piping here, and then I got pipes, and underneath that is geometry. Come on down here farther. We got elbows. It says geometry. Okay, so we still have all these properties in here. So that I'm going to reconstruct this now. And so I'm going to go ahead and hit run. It's just letting me know you're in turbo mode. Just be prepared that you need to save this because it's going to close out. I'm not worried about it for what I'm doing today. So let's go yes. And I'll give this a name, and we'll just call this one Reconstruct Test. I'll go 2 just in case I have one of those. So let's go save. And it's going to go through and reconstruct this model, which is in turn creating us a brand new NWD. Okay, so we'll just give this a few seconds here. And when this is done, we'll just close out. There it is. It says file has been exported. Let's go ahead and close this out. And you'll notice in the background that it closed out my model. So I'm now going to go and select my new model. There it is, Reconstruct Test 2. Let's go ahead and open it up. Let's see what we got here. And now if I come over here to the tree, you're going to see it's got the Reconstruct Test 2. Now it's just piping. Now it's broken up by the line number. Then the ISO. And now all the part names underneath of it. This concludes this short video on the new features of iConstruct 2021.1.